G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. This is Super Rugby Review. This is the Melbourne Rebels versus the Blues. Yes, just like last week, the Rebels once again fell apart in the second half due to the opposition's physicality. And this was really disappointing because I thought the Rebels would have looked at the mistakes, the lack of physicality against the Crusaders last week, especially in the second half, and learned from that and really built upon themselves into this game. But no, the second half was 0 points scored by the Rebels. Even though they were playing against 14 players at one point due to a yellow card, the Rebels were still not able to score any points. And the physicality is big warning, and I guess sirens going off in the coaching team. The Blues really didn't do anything fancy, especially in the last two tries leading into the final 10 minutes of the match. It was just physicality that forced the Blues over the try line. The same player, Sam Darry, came off the bench, scored twice against Rob Leota defending the try line. Just pick and go, physical brutality, running over Leota for 2 tries in the last 10 minutes. That is just something that you don't want to see as a coach for your team, for your own players to really physically overwhelmed like that. It's really something that I think the coaches may have to reshuffle how the bench is going to be utilized for the Rebels a little bit. Maybe they have to go with a 7-2 on the bench if your 4-pack is just not physically able to, if Leota can't play 80 minutes, you might have to really consider having an extra forward on the bench to solve that problem. So there's a lot of issues that the Rebels need to have a hard look at, especially for their second half. In the first half, though, I thought the Rebels did really well. Firm in control of the game, and, if they had been a little bit more polished, they probably could have worked out in the first half with a lead. In fact, they were down only by 1 point, 11 points to 12, and due to some of their own handling issues, they probably could have. And then they did have dominance. I felt the control of the game for the most part of the first half. They probably could have walked out with a bit more points than that. So I thought the second half, surely the Rebels was all going to be about tidying up those little errors and try to keep that same momentum going in the first half. But no, the Blues just went to the bread and butter, the set piece, the scrum, the line out, and they're just having their big forwards running down tight in the middle of the field, quick balls, pick and go, and then just through sheer brute strength was able to dominate the Rebels. 38 points to 11 win in Melbourne. So yeah, it was really disappointing. I thought the scrummaging from the Blues was really interesting to see as well. I'm pretty sure Angus Tarval was on the field, even though he was not listed in the lineup. But I'm pretty sure also Angus Tarval in the number 17 jersey or maybe 18 jersey coming off the bench. But when Tarval and Patrick Tuipulotu was on the field together, it was just insane. They just dominated Tupou and what's his name? What was his name? They just dominated Tupou and Kailea, who was starting this game. Again, I thought that there was a bit of an interesting decision for the Melbourne coaches to put Tupou in a starting position. I'm pretty sure this is the first game Tupou started this season. He has been that strong finisher, almost a bomb squad setup for the Rebels to come off the bench. Well, because the emphasis on the scrummaging against Ofa Tuongafasi is who's one of the best scrummagers in Super Rugby right now in the loose air position. Obviously, they try to bring Tupou on to offset that. But yeah, really left the Rebels lacked, especially in the 4-pack, lacked that physicality a little bit in the second half as well. And Jordan Olesi as well. I think he's sometimes coming off the bench is probably a little bit better in terms of getting that dominance. And interesting setup, and just wasn't quite working out for the Rebels in terms of that upfront battle. Really let that get away from them quite a bit. Interestingly enough, the Blues, the strategy for the Blues is really, really simple, actually. Something that I feel like the Super Rugby teams in Australia can learn. It's a really simple strategy, a simple game plan. It's just about wear your opposition down. It's just a war of attrition. Just like they did last week against the Reds, this week against the Rebels, the Blues, when they had their penalty options, they didn't take it. They could have easily kicked the scoreboard or ticked away and tried to keep themselves above the water. But they went for the lineouts, they went for the scrum, they went for those those, exhausting physical contests that really wears down your forwards. And then they, and that build and build and build, the fatigue build and build and build. And sure enough, last 10 minutes, 2 tries in about 4 minutes, really just pull the game away. And that's just all came from the Blues' persistent pressure over the entire game, essentially, to really pull the game away and to really just, overwhelm the opposition with that physicality, because the fact that they didn't take the penalty goals early, because the fact that they were, tight and they kept the Rebels 4-pack moving. And that's why Leota was struggling to make his defense against the try line, against, the fresh legs off the bench in Sam Darry. And that's just really simple game plan from the Blues, and it just worked like a charm. Nothing too fancy, too crazy for out of the Blues playmaking in their back line. There was no crazy kicking out of, because the boat embarrassed no here. There's no crazy kicking game on display. Any sort of imagination from the Blues, just very basic bread and butter style rugby, wearing you down, trench warfare style. And then once you're worn down, bench is coming on to make that impact play to finish their game off. So the Rebels, I feel like maybe needs to probably have a look at this bench and try to think about, try to think about a different setup there to try to get that physicality up in that 4-pack for the Rebels. So yeah, let's have a look at the match stats of the game. 1 try for the Rebels, 4 for the Blues. Like I said, halftime score, 11 points to 12. The Blues, the Rebels was firmly in it. I was a little bit disappointed by the Rebels' fact that not taking the penalties. Probably a little bit too opting for the penalty option a little bit too quickly. I thought the Rebels probably could have put a bit more pressure on early in the game. Like I said, building that fatigue is a really important part of the game. 400 run meters. Oh, hang on. Let's just refresh this. What's going on? 6 tries to 1. Oh, sorry. That was 6 tries to 1. 422 run meters for the Rebels. 548 for the Blues. And 14 turnovers conceded for the Rebels. 9 against the Blues. 197 tackles for the Rebels. 26 tackles missed. 181 for the Blues, 25 missed tackles for the Blues as well. So the Blues defense was a bit shaky at times, not much worse than or better than the Rebels. 19 kicks in play for the Rebels, 17 for the Blues. 1 conversion missed, 2 conversion missed for the Blues. 2 penalty goals from Carter Gordon. Lineouts, I thought both teams were struggling with lineouts a little bit. The Rebels, early in the game, was able to steal a couple of the Blues lineouts, which was really well done. But in the second half, the Blues was able to get themselves back into the rhythm, get that platform set, get that platform set for themselves. And the scrummaging, despite despite having 2 people on the field, the Blues scrummaging was still a little bit more, not just a little bit, still visibly more dominant than the Rebels side. But I guess it wasn't, a complete disaster against the Rebels. And penalties conceded, let's just refresh this again. Sometimes they do reset. 8 against both sides. There was 1 yellow card against the number 10 from the Blues, Harry Plummer, I think his name was, for a cynical early tackle, disrupting the player, an opportunity to go for a try for a yellow card. And that was the commentator was talking about how that's not a dangerous tackle, didn't deserve a yellow card. But it was not the fact that it was a dangerous tackle, it was the fact that it was a cynical attempt to disrupt the play. That was the reason why it was sent off, not because it was a dangerous tackle. So I wasn't sure what the commentators were talking about at that point. But anyway, let's go through the points for this game for the quick recap. 8 minutes into the game, the Rebels was putting a lot of pressure, had a lot of possession, and then they decided to take 3 points at an 8-minute mark point. I really felt they probably just should have kept going and really tried for the, really gone for the try. But they got the 3 points on the board here. Anyway, 12 minutes into the game, the Blues was just fought themselves back into the Rebels half. After being on receiving end quite a bit, there was a really poor pass from the Rebels. The ball went to the ground, and the Talea scooped out the ball. 1-on-1 missed tackle from the Rebels inside center, and then Talea just ran down the sideline for an easy try. 7 points. Like that's a freebie. That's a try that should not have been scored at all. The defense was really just was really lackluster here from the Rebels. The Rebels was able to hit back 16 minutes into the game. Nice building. They were able to steal a line out from the Blues on throw inside their own 22, and then the Rebels just kept pounding the try line, stayed patient, got the penalty advantage, and then eventually Lawrence, the number 9, pick and go himself, went in for the try, 8 points to 7. The Rebels once again was just running into the Blues. The Blues defense was really good. 26 minutes into the game, there was another penalty against the Blues under the pump. I thought the Rebels should have just gone for the try here because the Blues really did look like they wanted you to take the penalty to relieve the pressure a little bit. And the Rebels kicked this one, 11 points to 7, and that was the last points the Rebels score on 26 minutes of the game. 31 minutes again, the Blues had a penalty. They went for the line out. They went for the maul. They got really close for the maul. Pick and go, and really tight. Nice little short pass, crash ball. Try time for Sheck for the Blues. Just before halftime, Riku Ioane, it looked like he hurt his leg, but luckily his leg is okay. He slipped and kind of knocked his head on the side of one of the Rebels players' leg. So he just had a bit of concussion. So luckily that's not a leg injury. So Rico, it was taken off the field, but I think he'll be okay. 45 minutes into the game, the Blues had a penalty right in front of the goalpost. And I thought, the Blues might take in the 3 points here, considering that will put, the scoreboard beyond 2 tries for the Rebels. But no, the Blues knew what they wanted to do. They went for the tab. They didn't go for the line out. They went for the tab and go. They crash ball. Eventually, the ball went out the back door, spread it away. Mark Talea Tupou was literally at the breakdown, saw this ball go out, ran all the way across the field. Somehow, he was the only one right down the sideline to meet Talea when they got the ball. 1-on-1, Mark Talea just too fast. A stiff arm on Tupou. And try into the corner. 11 points to 17 for the Blues. 56 minutes into the game, there was a couple. The Blues scrums was just dominating the Rebels. They put on the Rebels put on the new front rowers. Still was struggling against Tuipulotu and Angus Tarval. Eventually, the Blues was crashing the ball through. They had a number of repeated penalties. They just went back for the scrum. Like I said, just wearing down your forward pack in those high energy exerting activities like the scrummaging. And eventually, the ball went out. Went out from the scrum. The Blues crashed the ball, pick and go, crashed the ball. 6 phases later, Patrick Tuipulotu, physical man, brutally crashed over and just physically bailed himself through for another try. 11 points to 24. 62 minutes into the game, Harry Plummer got sent off for a yellow card on the early tackle on Lancaster, and then this opened an opportunity for the Blues to score a try. For the Rebels to score a try. 3 attempts inside the Blues 22. Really impatient and really good defense by the Blues. Was not able to score from the Rebels, and I thought to myself, if they don't score here, it's pretty much game over. And sure enough, the Rebels, the first time, rushed themselves a little bit, was held up. Second time, again, the Rebels overextended trying to get over the try line and got themselves turned over against the try line and for not releasing. And finally, the final attempt, the third attempt, the Rebels rushed their attack a bit and forced a knock on from the Blues by the Blues. So really big opportunity missed by the Rebels there. 72 minutes, the Rebels was penalized for short arm for engaging early in their own scrum, and then 75 minutes, the Blues final 10 minutes of the game, 5 minutes of the game, the Rebels not completely out, but the Blues, the physicality come on the bench. It's just you can just see the Rebels tired. It's going back every time the Blues carried. The Rebels going back. No crazy offloads, no, super duper plays, just physical running. And then eventually 75 minutes. What's his name? Darry. Sam Darry? Yeah, Sam Darry. Pick and go against, right against the try line. Went over Leota. Try. 31 points to 11. At this point, I'm just like, oh my God, please don't concede. Just like, don't let the game just completely, fly away from you, Rebels. But nah, the game completely flown away from the Rebels' hands at this point. 3 minutes later, the exact same thing happened. The Blues pick and go, right down the middle of the field, and got right up at the try line. And once again, Sam Darry, pick and go. Rob Leota defending the try line was just, you can tell he was just exhausted. Darry just rammed himself through. 11 points to 38. Final score. Really disappointing. 2 tries conceded in, last 5 minutes of the game. Was just not ideal. It's something that you wish that the Rebel could have done. But yeah, again, Blues strategy of just having the forwards wearing you down, war of attrition, just pays off for them. Easy as that. 11 points to 38. And that's it. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this game. Like, comment, and subscribe. Feel free to check out the merch store. It'll pop up somewhere here, hopefully. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys tomorrow for more rugby reviews. Cheers.